Earlier in 2004, Ubisoft released the Xbox and PC versions of Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, which combined the spectacular single-player stealth action of the previous game along with an innovative new multiplayer mode. Now that game has been ported to the PlayStation 2 in what's sort of a watered-down version of those games. It lacks some of the graphical punch that made those games so impressive, and it also features more interruptions in the gameplay that make it sort of less enjoyable to play overall. If you've been holding out on this version of the game, you'll find in it a great game on its own merits, but if you have the other versions as a frame of reference, then you'll be disappointed by what this version has to offer. Make no mistake, this is still a great game on its own merits. It's just that the previous versions of the game were better than this one, and they've been around for a number of months already. In the single-player portion of the game, you once again play as Sam Fisher, who's this ultra-secret agent tasked with basically protecting America's liberties and doing all kinds of dangerous assignments in the name of freedom. This time he's sent to all sorts of places, ranging from a speeding train in Paris all the way to the jungles of Indonesia, and he's after this sort of Indonesian guerrilla leader, and once again the plot involves a lot of intrigue and sort of Tom Clancy-esque factors like that. If you've played the original Splinter Cell, then you'll be familiar with the gameplay here. Once again, your goal is to stick to the shadows, try to avoid direct enemy engagement, and basically bash a lot of people over the head, knock them out, carry their corpses away or their still bodies away into the shadows and proceed on toward your objectives. The PC and Xbox versions of the game featured some really spectacular looking environments and some very cool moments, and those moments are at least retained intact on the PS2. The problem is the PS2 version of the single-player campaign lacks a lot of the same cohesiveness that the previous versions of the game offered. There are just a lot of interruptions in the gameplay, as when you suddenly run across a checkpoint or a save point or a loading time. Sometimes you'll barely cover what seems like 20 or 30 meters before another checkpoint comes up. So you get this really piecemeal gameplay experience that's pretty disruptive to having the sort of immersive gaming experience that you generally want to have from a game like this. The graphics of the PS2 version of Pandora Tomorrow also suffered in translation. The lighting isn't nearly as pronounced, which affects gameplay. You'll end up looking at the little light meter in the lower right-hand corner of the screen rather than just judging by the environment itself, looking to where the shadows are, to where you can hide safely or drop off bodies, things of that nature. That's really a shame because it's true that the visuals had a tremendous impact on how high quality of a gaming experience the Xbox and PC versions of the game offered. The other thing about the single-player portion of Pandora Tomorrow on the PS2 is that the AI seems to have worsened from the Xbox and PC versions. Now your enemies seem to have a lot of trouble dealing with you at close range, though they can still spot you at long range and will start picking you off. In short, the AI just doesn't provide a convincing challenge, and that makes the game rather easier on the PS2 than it was on the Xbox and PC. Luckily, the multiplayer portion of Pandora Tomorrow, which is like a whole separate game, survived translation better onto the PS2. Basically, this is like a deadly game of hide and seek. ShadowNet is on the offense and needs to go into each mission and try to either retrieve or otherwise disable these kind of biological agents. Argus, on the other hand, needs to defend and prevent this from happening by hunting down and killing the ShadowNet spies. The two sides play totally differently. ShadowNet is more like the familiar Splinter Cell gameplay, though even still you'll notice a number of new moves. You view the action from a third-person perspective and can use some diversionary measures like chaff grenades and flashbangs to divert your opponents. You basically need to sneak past a variety of different traps and security measures in each level and find these biological agents and take them out. Meanwhile, the Argus side plays like a first-person shooter, and it's actually a very cool first-person shooter at that. It looks a lot more convincing than most other such games on the PS2. You have a variety of gadgets that can help you spot the spies in the darkness, and basically you need to find them and then take them out with your heavy machine gun. There are a variety of different maps to play on, and mastering the two different sides requires totally different skills and tactics, so this multiplayer mode offers a lot of lasting value. If Pandora Tomorrow only included the single-player portion of the game, it would have seemed like a bit of a rehash of the previous Splinter Cell, and it wouldn't have been all that great. The thing is, though, with the inclusion of the multiplayer, this really becomes a very interesting game, at least to those who are into the whole online thing. if you're looking to play another PS2 game online, this is definitely a great choice. And if you're looking for more Splinter Cell action, then it's right here as well. Again, though, if you can play this game instead on the PC or Xbox, it's recommendable that you do so.